I went to Rome in the summer, which is very similar to the climate I live in. I live in a desert with a lot of rock. It's very hot. The difference is that I go inside to places and oftentimes there's AC, but in Rome that wasn't always the case. I booked a tour at the Vatican museums after we went to the Colosseum, so we were outside for a long time. And I'm thinking, oh, it'll be a great time to cool down. But it seems like there was only AC maybe in the lobby and in like the gift shops, because of the rest of the places had their windows open and a lot of hot air was breezing in. And so even though my tour guide was very smart and very funny, I was laughing a lot. I think I got a touch of the heat exhaustion. And so I just want to tell you about how this tour went through the film of my pre-heat exhaustion brain. So this is my tour guide, Paul. He is fantastic. I recommend him. And he started out by bringing us into a sunroom. Hot air is blowing in, but we did get to sit down, and he spoke for a long time about the Sistine Chapel. And I'm thinking, we get to see the Sistine Chapel on this tour. Why is he telling us about it now? Well, it's because he tells you all about it now, and you walk into the Sistine Chapel on your own later, and you just kind of remember the details. So here's what I remember. So, of course, this is the Sistine Chapel, which Michelangelo did not want to paint. Pope asked politely, and he was like, no. And then the Pope took a stick and was like, you will do this. And he was like, okay, fine, dude. Fine, I will paint it. But then he got a little sassy and covered the whole thing with drapes so that nobody could see what he was painting. And even the Pope would climb up there with his stick and they would have it out up there, but he was not allowed to see what was going on up here. Most people painted like the 12 somethings, and he was like, no, I want to do creation. And he did creation. Then like years later, like a decade or two, I don't know, the Pope comes back and he's like, hey, I want you to do a wall. It's not the ceiling, it's a wall. And he's like, fine, but I'm doing Revelations. And so he does this thing, right? And it's fantastic, except nobody likes it when he reveals it. There's a lot of criticism. In fact, one guy is criticizing it so much that Michelangelo's like, okay, fine. And he goes over here to the fiery pits of hell, to the God who's like guiding souls into hell. I believe his name was the Midas Touch. And he paints that guy's face on Midas Touch, okay? Guy is really upset when he goes in and he's like, I'm going to criticize this painting some more. And he finds his own face on that guy. And he's like, oh. So he goes to tell Michelangelo, I'm so sorry that I was criticizing your art. I will stop. And Michelangelo's like, does not want to hear from him. So he runs away. Because I don't need to hear that in my life. I did what I did, right? And every time he tries to talk to him, he runs away. So this guy, Mr. Midas Touch, he's like, only the Pope can control Michelangelo. So he goes to the Pope and he's like, please help me. Tell him he has to take my face off of the Midas Touch. And the Pope's like, listen, I have control over things that are all heaven. If he had painted you in the heavens, I could have controlled this. But he painted you in hell, and I have no dominion over hell. And so Michelangelo hears this and he's like, I like that. And he puts donkey ears on Midas Touch. And that guy disappears and apparently is never heard from again. That's what my brain remembers through the film of heat exhaustion. If you want more of the tour, of Paul's tour, let me know.